Hello, everybody. This is Josh. Welcome to the Grounded on Clouds podcast. I'm here with my best friend and co-host, Ray.
Hello, everybody.
We are currently on a bus that took off from Bangkok and is headed to a city called Chiang Mai, where we will end in the mountains in the north of Thailand in a city called Pai. And what better time to make a podcast than on a bus? Am I right?
Absolutely.
Why does your voice sound so ASMR?
I'm making it that way on purpose.
Well, you're all in for a treat today. Yeah, so we don't have a plan because, we like to simulate life here on this podcast. And having plans won't get you far. But doing things will. And so here we are doing things. What do you want to talk about, Ray?
You had a really good idea, actually. What did you say? You said something about, and I loved the idea, talking about how our relationships are kind of a reflection of how we need to grow or what we need in this life. Mm-hmm. And just to kind of look at what kind of relationships we attract. Something like that.
Yeah, something I've noticed recently. We get exactly what we think we deserve. Yeah, in our relationships. About 6 or 7 months ago, I broke up with my ex-girlfriend, and so it has been an interesting time, an interesting series of events, and I've dated a lot of people, and every single time in dating people, I realize that I'm learning a lot and allowing these experiences to help me learn, but I'm realizing that every single time I'm betraying myself a little bit, and I only realize afterwards that I'm betraying myself in thinking that I don't deserve everything that I need. And that's an interesting thing to observe. To think that there is anything on what I need that can be sacrificed, whether it be safety, emotional safety, whether it can be feeling heard, whether it's being attracted to the person. All of these things are so important. And there's just so much pressure when things feel good to just accept it and think that that's the only thing a relationship needs to be. It just needs to feel good in the moment. And it's actually a gift that my last relationship gave me. I was dating this person for 3 years. We were together, we lived together, and I realized I love her so much. But in very subtle ways, and in the way we attached in our relationship, we held each other back to the point where I saw that together we would both only reach 70 to 80% of our potential, and that we could be happy and we could feel good together. But it was unkind to both of us to settle in any way, and especially for these gifts that the universe has given us, that God has given us, to allow them not to be expressed just because it felt safer to stay where I was at. But yeah, what do you think, P. Ray?
Do I need to hold it? You can hold it?
Yeah, I can hold it.
I feel like one of the things that has come up with me recently in a lot of different aspects of my life is, what if I really, really follow a full yes? My whole body, my whole mind, my whole spirit, all of my energy is saying, yes, let's do this.
Wow.
And I feel that with relationships and I have to admit that a lot of times in relationships, it won't feel like a full yes. But I'd rather not be alone. Or I want to explore something with that person, and I don't know. I just feel that we put a lot of rules on ourselves, and I'm observing that now from a place where I'm not as much a part of it, and I'm more observing it. And to me, that's part of what it feels like to make more conscious choices, and more choices that are really super lighting every part of me on fire. It's really for me, and I'm seeing that my decisions and the way I'm moving in life is just starting to feel a little different.
That's beautiful. If you're wondering, yes, there are 2 Rays on this podcast. That I really resonated with that, specifically how I saw the ways in which, while you were speaking, that it would be really easy to accept something that's not a full yes, especially when you've lived maybe in your childhood or in past relationships where you've even accepted things that are no's, and that are like slight no's or subtle no's. And so when you get any kind of yes, you're like, wow, you just booped me?
You're talking about no's, right?
Oh my God. But yeah, I think in the past I've accepted no's, and then I was rejoicing anytime I felt like a 60% yes, and anytime I felt like a 70% yes, and then, oh my God, an 80 or 90% yes, I thought I'd won the lottery. I thought I'd completely hit the jackpot. And in reality, anything that's not a full yes should be a no. Anything that's not absolutely, like you said, firing up on all cylinders. It's so beautiful, but it's also so hard.
Yeah, it's crazy how I'm learning that just now, what a full yes is for every part of my being to be on board.
Can you give like when you say like every part of your being fired up, what do you mean specifically? Like, what does it feel like to you?
That's a really great question, but can we table it?
Yes.
Because I had something else I wanted to say.
Please continue.
Like, please remember the question. It's beautiful, but
it's on the table. I won't forget it.
I really want to say, because I feel this to be so important that we said it before we started the podcast. I want to make sure it gets on here. Is how we also don't believe that we deserve the full yes. So there have been moments where I've kind of been in the presence of someone that I feel, for me, I'm heterosexual, so I'm attracted to men. And actually, I mean, I'm on the spectrum. I can get attracted to women, but for partners, I've only been with men, and I feel very attracted to men as partners. And you good?
Yeah.
So I've definitely encountered men who I find to be extremely attractive, and it, for me, my whole being says yes, I want this, and I'll explain that. But then I can't get up the courage to talk to them, or they show an interest in me, and then I freeze.
I see. So it's not only just feeling the full yes, it's knowing you're deserving and feeling worthy of the full yes.
I'm really excited to start working on that, because I feel that those are different parts of the puzzle that I'm just starting to allow myself. I'm starting to give myself the permission to feel what a full yes is, and to also pursue and be with someone that is a full yes. Maybe you can answer the question of what a full yes feels like to you.
Well, I think that's also been so integral to my journey, is realizing and understanding that I deserve it. And for me, I'm finding the more I discover about myself and the more ways I'm learning to give myself things, the more I'm finding awareness and recognizing awareness in these things. Oh, thank you. Yeah, my shoulder is. So I think for me, like what I've realized is that the first thing about the S is like this feeling of safety. Like and it's such an important thing for me to be aware of because so many times in my childhood I felt unsafe. And it's not necessarily like a physical unsafety my parents really provided for me physically, but it's like an emotional unsafety and feeling like I cannot express everything that I want to, or I'm not even being encouraged to. And so that's a huge part of it. For me.
Wow.
Yeah, that I have to be super aware of because I'm super used to just also being Black and growing up in America. You just get very used to coping with being unsafe. And that's something that I'm not really willing to do anymore in relationships.
Wow.
But I think it goes in. And so another thing is, I think I used to be very judgmental, and there's still a part of me that's very judgmental of things that are what we would call superficial, you know? Like, I shouldn't have to be, like, extremely attracted to this person. I shouldn't have to like the sound of their voice. It's okay if we don't have, you know, the best conversations because I really like dancing with them, you know? I shouldn't have to, like feel very connected in, like, nonverbal spaces and dancing with this person because we have great conversations. And not to say that you have to have, like, every hobby or something. Sometimes space and also in what you do is nice. But yeah, there's some things that I think that's part of it, where it's like, you're just being superficial. You feel good with them, so that's good enough. And yeah, it's just understanding that, finding more awareness for, like, when there's this subtle kind of, it's very subtle, it's intuition, but when we're open to it and when we recognize that we're so powerful that we can kind of manifest anything, then we stop saying yes to things that aren't exactly what we need, what we want.
Amazing.
What does it feel like for you? And I'm curious as to ways in which you struggle, like the parts that you struggle to require of yourself. I think for me, that part is safety. I struggle to require 100% safety, feeling of 100% safety with someone. Well, yeah, I'm curious as what those parts that you struggle to require out of a partner are for you.
Struggle to require. Wow, this is such a big topic, and while you were speaking, I had so many other things come up for me. I love that we're talking about this because I feel this is so important. You know, we're all looking for this. I feel like when I struggle, it's, oh my gosh, how do I even? I feel that I oftentimes get into a place where I'm wanting the other person to complete me. And so what I struggle with is to find, is to not put so much energy in the relationship, because I just want to put everything in the relationship. And I just want to kind of lean on them in a way that gives me almost a pass on not having to do things I know I need to do.
Wow. It seems to me that's something I struggle with, and if I had to put it to words, it seems to me you struggle to require someone who creates boundaries for themselves also.
Yeah.
And is willing to say no to you and know exactly, and basically not do exactly what you're doing, because it doesn't really work one way.
Yeah.
It only really works two ways, when you give everything and then they give you everything, and then you create just this obsessive loop that feels amazing and is so destructive.
Yeah, so at the core of this, I feel that some of the questions that really help me to check myself on this is, what am I avoiding? Am I avoiding taking responsibility around something? And that's why following the full yes is important for me, because there can be a part of me that's excited to kind of have an easy out of avoiding responsibility, avoiding following my truest life, my biggest dreams, harnessing energy, harnessing work in a way that, I need to. And so using the relationship as an excuse to play myself small.
Yeah. I think there's something also I think is really important for me to say for myself, and I think probably a lot of other people experience this, is I think it's a balance, because it's very easy to get, it can be easy to, when you start to realize everything you need, that you realize that it's a lot, because you're a human being who deserves a lot. And to then almost subtly even sometimes give up. And we can get into these places where we like, oh, maybe I'm not meant to even have someone. Or yeah, maybe I'm completely fine just being single my whole life, which is okay. It's obviously okay to be single your whole life. But I think what we're downplaying in those moments is our infinite power and the ability to manifest a human being. Like, we can actually do that. There are human, if you can give it to yourself, and you gave it to yourself out of love, then there are other human beings who are giving that to themselves out of love too. And thus you can give it to each other, and you can be that for each other. So I've definitely found myself in that place where I'm like, I'm in a relationship, then I'm out of the relationship, like, okay, well, I don't even care anymore. I could be single my whole life. Like, I'm just going on dates, and these people are like clearly not, the person I want to be partners with, but really taking responsibility and be like, no, I need to sit down and energetically align myself with exactly what I need.
Wow.
And it's not that I know that I'm not going to be single my whole life. It's actually a decision. It's not just, oh, I didn't get lucky and meet that person. In my opinion, that's BS.
I would love to say something about, you've said it a few different times about how we can manifest the partner that we want. And I'm starting to really understand what manifestation means. And I like to kind of check back in our last podcast too. I checked back with kind of also knowing that my parents are going to be watching this or hoping they will. And, I'm feeling like when we talk about certain things, I really want to keep it very universal. I want to call in a tribe that is from a lot of different walks of life and a lot of different backgrounds. And for me, manifesting the right partner in one school of thinking and feeling life can also, in another school of thinking and feeling life, is aligning with your divine purpose. And I want to really invite people to connect with us who believe in a God and a divine, and that divine has a plan for you, and you can align with that plan. And I want to really call in people who also are feeling that the divine is within them, and their higher self is the divine, or nature is the divine. So I want to really keep the message very universally tethered.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that we're going to be using a lot of concepts and words that only make sense if you believe in divinity, and if you believe in kind of a universal wholeness of beings. And we could have, we could have a whole podcast discussion, a scientific discussion about wholeness and quantum physics and all of these things. And, we could do like experiential proofs where you observe your mind and then you observe your body. And then I'm like, okay, who's observing it? Like, clearly you're not those things. Then what are you? And we could do that. But I think a lot of other people do that. And that's probably not what this podcast is going to be about, explaining why that exists. But it's for people who started to feel it and maybe you're curious about it. But also, I think it's important to say manifestation. I was very skeptical of this idea for a long time because, you hear the whole joke like, oh, someone in Bali went to a manifestation workshop and now they manifested a Tesla and like stuff. But manifestation is actually, I've started to realize recently with more awareness, is actually very scientific in my experience. It's just, I'm okay. It's the understanding that it's the same thing as in quantum mechanics and science, that there are parallel realities, dimensions, butterfly effect. Your choices have an effect on different timelines. And with enough conscious awareness, you can shift the timeline or the dimension that you're in, and you have the power to shape reality in that way. So if you align your mind, your emotional body, and then at your very core, your core beliefs and your being, if you have awareness of these things and you can move them, then you can actually start to change your reality. And I think a lot of people talk about this. It's the same thing as law of attraction. It's the same thing as when you're in a good mood, it kind of good things start happening. And when you're in a bad mood, your day just gets more unpleasant. I think we can all understand this subtly. But then when you start to really understand the mechanics and the science of this, then it turns from, being able to look up at the sky and see that rain's going to come. And then you get to the point where you can actually put out a cistern and start harvesting rainwater, and maybe you can make hydroelectric power and stuff. It's just, once you understand what's happening, you can do more and more with it. Yeah. Do you have anything to say about that?
I love everything you say, Josh. For me, manifestation and just talking about this, I feel like something that really resonates with me is my lineage of Advaita Vedanta and asking, who am I? Who am I really? And when I feel into what manifestation means to me, a lot of the times it's me getting out of my own way. Or just seeing that those limited parts of me, the me's that I thought I was, are just wisps of smoke.
That's gorgeous.
And also, so the who am I is a huge question that I feel to bring to my work and my life, because it centers me in my self. And then what is real? And these two questions I feel are at the core of, for me, life, relationship, manifestation, work. What is real?
Okay, so how do you practically apply those questions and manifestation to your relationships? Like specifically, I said, I'm curious about those questions. What is real and who am I?
So, for example, now that I started dating again, she's on the market.
Raise back, baby.
So I started dating again, and I'll ask myself, who am I? And I'll recognize that there's different parts of me that want to be on the date. And there's the insecure Ray, and there's the Ray that experienced trauma. And then there's this brilliant, radiant Ray also. And just to allow whoever I'm dating to see all these different parts of me, and to also choose more and more every day to show who I really feel myself to be, and how that's attracting different people and different energies.
Wow. That's, yeah, that is, I'm really resonating with that. And I think so. It's such, your description of it is so important because I think so often as people come into more awareness, I know I did this myself. I made this mistake in the past, but we become aware of the different parts of ourselves. And then with that awareness, we start to curate ourselves more. And so you could see those different parts of yourself and like, oh, okay, I see that there's the sad Ray. I see that there's the insecure Ray. But on this date, I only want to show the radiant Ray because I see those other ones and I don't want them to come through. I'm scared to let them speak. And that is a thing that people can do. Many people do it. And it definitely attracts a certain kind of person, also a certain kind of vibration and wavelength. And something that I noticed is, I think there was a big shift for me actually when I had this beautiful ecstatic dance experience in Koh Phangan. Shout out Koh Phangan Ecstatic Dance. And I was just in the center of all these people and I was overwhelmed with emotion and I just allowed myself to cry in the midst of, there was, hundreds of people there. And like, I'm just standing in the center of all these people, absolutely bawling. And in that moment, like, I could see the people who I was attracting with the energy that I was putting out of pure authenticity and vulnerability. And there was this one person came and started touching me and like rubbing my arms and legs. And then other people came and started doing it. And eventually like 100 people were just rubbing my arms and legs. And we were all just in this huddle and other people started crying. And it was this beautiful, just wellspring of vulnerability. And I met some incredible people that I think if I wasn't allowing myself to be completely myself in that moment, we would have just stayed acquaintances who had some fun dancing together. But there's a vibration that if I want to be in relationship with not just romantic relationship, but friends with people who are open and ready to receive my full range of my emotions and who are authentic themselves, I have to put that vibration out there. That's really a manifestation. And in that moment, I was aligning myself to that vibration emotionally, and the universe immediately reciprocated.
Amazing. 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 I love what you're saying, and I feel at the quintessence of what you're saying, it's like when you allow yourself to show who you are, people can love you for who you are. Mm-hmm. And I really invite us all, because I have experienced what you just said. I've also experienced when I show myself and people start to say, I feel the same way as you, or they give me the love, the physical touch, the hugs, the just the affirmation. That wouldn't happen if I didn't show them who I am. And so the invitation for me and for whoever wants to accept it is to show more of ourselves. And also, on the other flip side of it, is to invite other people to show themselves to you and to provide that space where they can feel seen and where they can feel held. Because a lot of times you can give what you want to receive, right? Mm-hmm. And this can start a domino effect in your life. For example, when I'm feeling really lonely, I'll send gratitude bombs, I call them. So I'll tell 5 people how much I'm grateful for them. And just giving what I want to receive starts to create that energy around me. And then all of a sudden, I don't feel lonely. I don't feel stuck. Gratitude is starting to snowball into this incredible energy. And if you have trouble feeling seen, I really invite you very practically to offer to see other people and hold the safe space to see other people.
Thank you. That is so beautiful.
It's incredible. It's changed my life. And it's just a little nugget that could make a huge difference in someone else's life who's listening to this.
I think there's one more thing I just want to say that plays exactly off of that. I really resonated with that. And I think so often we say, you can't love someone else if you can't love yourself, this kind of thing, that like self-love is a precursor. But I also think that that's not completely true, in that, yes, it's true, but we don't understand that it's actually a loop. It's kind of a feedback, and that it's one way you can practice loving yourself is by giving that to other people. And you don't necessarily have to be completely prepared to give it to yourself before you can give it to other people. It's a way of practicing. Both are ways of practicing, of giving it to yourself and giving it to other people. And so, yeah, if you're really feeling like you're unable to give yourself this safe space right now to hold space for yourself to be sad, and you constantly find yourself distracting yourself from your sad feelings or your anger, it can be really incredible to just hold that space for someone else. And that can teach you. And that can be you practicing and showing yourself that you can do this. And you can hold that space for yourself, that you can look at someone who's crying and not pity them and know that there's nothing wrong with them. You can see someone who's angry and just understand that they're going through something. And every opportunity, no matter how pleasant, is another opportunity to accept yourself. So yeah. That's a solid 31-minute slapper in the back of the bus. We're completely in the back of the bus. We're in the very back of the bus.
This is a most incredible spaceship.
Yeah, this is a spaceship across Thailand and across many other dimensions simultaneously.
Can we do like a little ending ditty?
A ditty?
Grounded on clouds.
Want to lead us in like a little bit of a ending, like meditation?
Maybe. Do you want to this time?
Just some. Sure.
Do you want me to hold?
Yeah, hold it for me. Actually, I can hold it and do the meditation. Isn't that amazing? So let's just all take some deep breaths.
That's Josh Monk here. Ladies and gentlemen.
Let's all just take some deep breaths together. Inhale. And exhale. Let it all out. Another one. Inhale. And exhale. In this moment, no matter where you are, just allow yourself to be. And see the relationships that you're cultivating in this moment with yourself. How have you been treating yourself today? Is how you've been treating yourself aligned with your highest purpose, your highest good? How have you been treating your friends, your family, your loved ones? And how have you been receiving their love? And in this space of awareness, just observe. Just observe all of it without judgment, and allow yourself to see where you're aligned emotionally, where you're aligned mentally. And if you decide to change, to do it with love and grace. One more deep breath. Inhale. Exhale, let it all out. Okay, that's all I got for the back of the bus meditation. But I want us to all realize that we have infinite power to shape our relationships, our reality, that we have infinite tools, and that with awareness, anything is possible. Is there anything you'd like to say before we shut it down, Ray?
I love you so much, Josh.
I love you too.